Hey guys, this is another supplement for the initiation on the Canon guide, more towards the large scale. So it's a little hard to show large scale without actually being in large scale, so you're gonna have to kind of roll with it and visualize what I'm trying to show. So we're gonna call this horse and these first few guys up here the front line. You know, they're the enemy warriors, the enemy berserkers, the people that are trying to stop you from getting to the rest of the team, which is back here trying to blow you up. So what I like to do is I like to figure out who's actually killing me, so it might take an engagement or two to figure that out. If you learn that it's the Rangers killing you, then you want to focus them. If it's the Wizard's Witch, you know, if they're standing in the back, focus them. It's a learning process. Each guild has different dynamics. Every time you go up against them, you know, their attendance might change. So you kind of have to learn and adapt, and then find what works best for you on any given situation. So what I want to highlight is basically doing initiation with 100 and 100%, as in was it Fearsome Tyrant? Is that what it's called? Yes. So the Axe 100, the Fearsome Tyrant, doing it with that and without that. So as you can see, I don't have 100%, so you're just gonna have to level with me here. But what I prefer to do is I do Lava Piercer in, because my team is usually behind me, and I play first in. I play a tankish role. But I try not to die. Like, a win in my book is initiating and not dying. So I usually will run up to the front line. I will Lava Piercer. I guess I'll show. I'll Lava Piercer and I'll go right into the spacebar ground lift. So the ground lift will give me a brief extra amount of super armor, and it will hopefully maybe float the person that I picked and use it on. If it doesn't float them, so be it. If I feel like I'm safe enough, like, it is possible that you could do your 100 right here, but I'm just going to do a devastation to kind of like do a mini 100, and you can see that I only reached up to that scarecrow. Now I believe the 100 is slightly larger, but not by much. So, you know, we're missing these two guys and anyone behind them with your ult. So, to alleviate that, there's a couple things you can do. When you go up to Lava Piercer and you do the ground lift, you can do a shooting mobility, or I'm sorry, shake off into shooting mobility, but I did that terribly. Shooting mobility is kind of iffy because it doesn't allow you to go through characters. Maybe if you're right on top of them in the very first part of the skill might. I've had mixed results with that, so I basically tell people that it does not go through enemies. So what I try to do is I'll try to wiggle my way just a little bit deeper into their lines by doing something like this, and then ulting. We'll use this as the fake ult. And that way you get a little bit more of the overall team stunned and ulted. One thing I would like to note is you want to face the back line, because if they're not ulted, they're gonna hit you, and they're probably the most damage, so you don't want to give them your back. So if you can, if you're fast enough, make sure that you're ending up facing the back line. Another way to do this, if you're first in and you need to lock up a majority of the team and not just the front line, this is actually what I prefer to do. But it doesn't always work, because usually in Node Wars you have to face the same team a few times. So what I prefer to do, for the easiest way to do what I just showed you, is just to use giant leap backwards, but you have to be quick. And if you run right into a grab target, like a warrior or a Valkyrie, the likelihood of you doing this gets less and less. So when I do this tactic, instead of running right up to the front line, I'll probably run a little to the side and then vault into the team. So I'll show you guys. So we're going to lava in, we're going to switch back to cannon with the spacebar ground lift, and then we're going to use S and F giant leap, the backwards version, to volt further into the team. So as you can see, you got to do it pretty quick. Obviously picking your angle and how you turn your camera really affects where you end up. I would not suggest using the forward version, because if you use the forward version, you might use the 100% that you're trying to save to lock teams up, and that would just look odd. So let's try this again. As you can see, much like the shooting mobility, but you can kind of pick, a little easier to pick where you want to be within the group. Now, as you can tell, like, I had to jump backwards, so my back is to a majority of the back line. If you can think of it, if it's possible, you're going to want to turn around and then use your ult. So when you use your ult, you can use it in cannon, you will transfer back. You are in super armor during the cast, so it is possible to like quickly turn and then cast, and you should be okay. They shouldn't really expect the Berserker to volt past. I normally don't see it against me and my teams, and they've never mentioned it, so I don't think it's a very widely known tactic until now. Or maybe we're just not brave enough Berserkers. Grow some balls, guys. Another one is basically without 100%. Your team is telling you to engage. You're like, damn, I don't have 100%. What can I do? I highly suggest being an annoyance, being just jumping around, causing havoc as much as you can. That means lava piercer in, do the shooting mobility, get to the back, general disarray around, do some CCs, get some stuns down. Don't ever stay, in one spot at the same time. Do some giant leaps. Don't stay in one spot. Lead people around. Get as much CC around the team as you can, and hope that your team behind you is laying down effective damage on the targets that you're CC'd. One good thing is if you always have melee trying to follow you. So there's a front line, let's call it a warrior, that's just dedicated to trying to shut you down. Bring him to the back line so that his back is chasing after you, and the people that are laying down damage are critting him in the back. So that's, what is that, 0.7 to 0.2 times damage, depending on if they crit or not. So, like, leading them to the back if they're following you is probably the best. Obviously, being elusive, trying not to get grabbed, is your best efforts. So, large scale doesn't seem like there's as many variations. There can be. You can still use the single target one that I talked about in the small scale, but it's still Q into knocking everybody down to ancient power, left mouse, right mouse, hold, and then you can just run in and do some CC, and then when they all stand up, do a devastation. They'll all be like, oh god, what is going on? And they're probably going to focus you, so after that you're going to want to jump around and run around like a loony. So it's more of concepts, like what to try and do, more than actual skill chains like in small scale. Obviously, the more HP and the more DP you have, the more likely you're going to survive. If you're in this initiation, like tank role, it is okay to play DP Zerker. Just understand that you're probably not going to kill anything. If you're playing the AP Berserker, you're likely not going to be doing this type of stuff. You're going to have your other DP buddy go in, and then you go behind them and do specific single target skills that attack and try and kill the targets that you need to kill so you don't die. Both styles are needed. So like either way you play your Berserker, you're still going to be effective in these large scales. It's just how you prefer to play and what style you like. So, pick something, get the gear that works with it, and then learn how to do it and get really good at it. And then if you want to try the other side, you're gonna have to go through the grind and get some different gear, but it's worth it. Like I do both sides, and I love both sides. So that's it for kind of group concepts on initiation. Again, if there's any other combos or styles that people have, please let us know within the Discord, and if there's any major updates, I'll ensure to have a follow-up video. Good luck out there, guys.